And good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever the case may be, anybody that's out there. How is everybody doing today? Hope everyone had a good weekend so far. And if you have any of it left, that the rest of it is good as well. Okay, no raids coming in today, so we're going to just kind of get started. And today's project is going to be to finish out bits and pieces of this map that'll be used in my Alliance Challenge. And the very first thing we're going to do is take a look at what I want to actually achieve, and some of the methods that I've tried to go about achieving it before settling on the one that I'll be working on today. I got the map all done. Those of you who were here last week will know that that in itself was a challenge. Okay, we can ignore that. Getting the map getting it started was a challenge. Getting it finished actually turned out to be very easy, and in fact, before the end of the stream, I might jump back and do a quick walkthrough of the right way to get started when you're trying to copy a map from one platform into Incarnate. But the last thing I want to do is, alright, the map that we're talking about, if I scroll this out a little bit, is a regional map of the area where, come on, a regional map of the area where my alliance operates out of. And what I want to do is decorate it with the shield crests of the 9 organizations to show where their home base of operations would happen to be on the map for each one of them. What you can see on the map now is my first attempt, and if the only thing clearly wrong with it at this point is I would probably want to go into the CSS rather, and get rid of the white background behind it, and I'm sure I could manage to do that. But I didn't get there because there are some issues with this. It looks good here in the map editor. Alright, you can see I have a pin. It's a label pin, and that pin even includes a minimized version or miniaturized version of the shield for one of the groups. Right, and I did that simply by when I created the marker, I defined it as a label marker, and all we needed to do, hey Mikaro, how's it going? Glad somebody could be here. I see notices that Isaac and DM are around, but I have a feeling those are just auto hosts. I'm not sure if I haven't seen any sign of life of them in the chat yet. Oh, there's DM. Speak of the devil. So as I was saying, when I created the map, let me pop back here for a second real quick. All right. I'm trying. My ultimate goal is to end up with pins on this map that consist of the shields of the organizations that are members of my alliance. So, and it looked like this was going to work out real nicely. All right, because looking at the map editor, all right, this is, I mean, except for the white background, which, like I said, I'm sure I could CSS away. This looked like it was going to work out. Alright, but two problems arose. The first problem is I wasn't going to put any kind of text in here. But something funny there's some funny things, and I'm not going to bother Dimmy about fixing them just for the Alliance challenge. So, but there are things that I'm going to probably write up and just ask about and see if in the long run something can be done. Because if I go into this marker and edit it, see what we did. All right, it is a label type marker, and I actually got the image in by clicking on the little embed image thing with it. Then it showed me what it wanted to do, and then I just this is the standard image tag that you can copy and paste out of your images and files section. But when I first did it, I did it with no text and just the image marker. All right, so it looked like that. And my mouse is being real funny today. And you can see what happens when I do that. It decides there's no text, so it doesn't show me anything, even though the image is there. If I go back into the editor and look in the editor, in the marker editor, it knows the image tag is there, but it's not displaying it here. Alright, so it was a little funky. To make matters worse, if I go into the article itself, well, you know what? Let me bring this back to where it was, just to have the word scourge visible in here. Alright, so we're back to having this in the map editor. But if I go into the article, or actually in view the article, and we come down to the, oh, now it is working. Oh, make a liar out of me. This was showing up as a nothing. As just a little blank white box. Like an hour ago. So now I'm torn, because I was going to abandon this idea and go instead with just creating, and I think I'm going to do it anyway because it's safer and in the long run it'll be easier and I know it'll work. The only difference is, you know what? Now I need to find the C. The problem is I still don't want the word on there, because there's I need to put the full names and it would just make the map far too busy. I really want to go with just the crests, and just the crests isn't working. All right, if I come back and well, let me make sure, now the things are behaving differently. Let me make sure that just the crest isn't working. If I come back in here again and change this to label, and just try that. And then refresh the map. Yeah, see, this is what I end up with now. All right, and that is obviously not desirable. Now, if I can... Oh... Well, I can figure out a way to do that with minimal text. All right, we're going to play around a little bit here. If not, I have a plan B, and I know plan B will work. So today we're not gonna fight for things too long. Oh, by the way, yeah, you didn't do anything, DM. I was just saying, I was just getting started, and I noticed you showed up on the host list, list, and I wasn't sure if it was an auto host or you were actually lurking. That's when you came in with your first comment. So, let's see if I can make this presentable. I'll try it. What if I did something like this? Scourge of. I wonder if this is going to work, or if I can get some control over how it looks. I need to know. Come on, thank you. I forget my own organization names. If it stacks this nicely above and below the text, then I might actually try to go with this. If it does something silly and puts it all in one line, then that's going to be a problem. That's exactly what I was hoping it would do. It's not exactly centered, but that's okay. I can live with that. I can probably fix that even. I bet I can fix that. How much more BB code will it let me get away with it here? Actually, I can do it this way. And it does it. It does that for me. Okay, I was going to type them in longhand. Okay. Much better. Okay. And we'll worry about the BB code or the CSS shortly. Alright, but the question is, what does it look like on this map? Why didn't it center the image? And more importantly, if I go to... Well, I can't jump this out to presentation mode, can I? Not from here. Okay. Question is, are they going to get too super silly sized if I start scaling this map around? You know what? Let me see what it looks like when I first come in, too. Excuse me. Did I hit the wrong view? I hit the wrong view. Early in the morning. Yeah, that's kind of large. And it's not centered. I'm not sure why it's not centered. It didn't center the image. I think I'm going to go with my plan B. And my plan B is a little bit simpler. And it'll achieve the same result. Alright, so let's go with that. So we're going to go with plan B. And the first thing that I have to do in plan B is get rid of this marker entirely. It's easy enough to create. If I have to create it again, I can. Okay. What we're now going to do is, the plan is, we're going to come into my touch-up editor of choice, which is paint.net. I know a lot of people use GIMP. If you can afford it, you use Photoshop. But paint.net works beautifully for everything I need to do with it. So that's what it's what I'm going to use here. Now this is, I've already brought in just the PNG image of the map itself. The first thing I'm going to do is save this as a paint project file. And what that lets me do is create layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer on top of it. I'm going to add two layers on top of this, actually. One with the crests of my privateer companies, and one with the crests of my mercenary companies. And then I'm going to import each of those layers or export those layers just by themselves and put them as layers on the map in World Anvil, and then tie circle marker groups or circle markers to each one of the crests. The circles themselves are invisible, but when you get near them, basically when you hover over the crest, essentially, it will trigger, it will give you the whatever pop-up you want, or whatever, whatever happens with the pin. So that's going to be the plan. Now the next thing I need to do, before I can do that though, is I need to come into my collection of crests, and you can see I've already done the first one. And I basically need to shrink all of these down to a reasonable size, and I think this size will be good. Let's find out. If I create a new layer, alright, we'll see if I create a new layer and I turn off the map main layer, you can see it's just right now a transparent field. And if I come over and drop this on here, actually I can do it as an add layer, that's even better. Oh, that opened it as a separate file. Alright, so let's back up. Let's do that again. Let's do it the way I should have done it, which is just add a layer. Okay, and it made it nice and tiny. Alright. It even named it correctly. Let's get rid of the layer that I don't need. Let me turn back on the background, and we'll see what that does. Is if I select the right layer to work in and select the pointer, yeah, thank you, I can now move this to where I want it to go, and I can make it bigger, and actually it looks like I want it to be bigger. I set that up. This is a 51 by 51 icon, and the reason I chose that size was because I had another thing in mind that I was going to actually use the ability to do like special characters, but that ended up being too messy. And to be honest, now that I look at it at the scale of this map, this crest is too small. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to come up with slightly larger versions, maybe about twice that size. Let me grow this. Yeah, about twice the size. Yeah, this got fuzzy because I already shrunk it down size-wise. Is that about twice the size? That looks like it's about twice the size in both directions. I think that'll be a good size on the map. Yes, that will be a good size on the map. Alright, so I want, let's call it 100 by 100. Or, 100, at least 100 high images. Okay, so we're going to do that real quick, one at a time. I'm going to, one at a time, I'm going to bring these guys in. I'm going to kill this one again for a moment. I'm going to come over here and just close that. And one at a time, we'll do these. We'll start with the Scourge of the Waves. I'm going to bring this file in. This time I do want to just say open. I want to say file, save as the first step before I forget. And stick a 100 on it. this is still just a ping, so, and then I want to resize the image, and since this time I don't care about the other fancy character thing, I don't have to square it off. I want its height to be 100 though. And then I want to save that. And that's the Scourge of the Waves. Who's next? Fellowship. Save as 100. Resize to 100. And save that. Then we have Raging Storm. Who am I missing? 1, 2, 3. Legion of the Tides. Some of these look alike, which is confusing. They got some of the same background colors. Good morning, Sir Lancelot. Glad you can join us. Today is a perfectly safe stream for you to watch. It has nothing to do with any game session that has not yet happened for you. So you can settle in and enjoy. Okay, did I say save on this yet? No, I did not. Image, resize. This one wasn't the same size as the other ones. That's interesting. It is now. And last is Isaki Revenge. Okay, so now we have the 5 crests that we want to have. Come back to here. Actually, I'm going to close all of these down. And now I'm going to start importing them into the right places. And I need to see where those places are. For that, we have our little cheat notes over here. Tuck off to the side. Okay, so we will start with the Raging Storm operating out of Desolation Point. Now we're going to drag this in here. Now I'm going to say add layer. And I'm going to take it. And I'm going to place it where I want to place it. Now the other thing I need to know is there is another shield that's going to have to find its way into the area around Desolation Point. And that is because one of the mercenary groups also operates. Actually, they operate out of this dead wash up here. Um, so I just need to find a good place to put this so that it doesn't interfere with the text and it leaves room for the other one as well. That could either be here, here. How about right there? Right next to the water, right next to the town. Okay, so we're gonna put that there. Now we're gonna do a few other magic bits here, by the way, as you're gonna see. I'm gonna rename this layer to be Privateers. So I'm gonna have to play some magic now for a few other ones. Let's move on to our next one, and our next one is Yasaki Revenge, working out of Warrentown, which is over here. So we grab Yasaki Revenge 100, drag it in. I want to temporarily put it in its own layer. Now I'm going to do something that, well, I'm going to put it in place first while it's still movable. Undo that. I didn't want to do that. I want to do that. Alright, so we're going to put that one in Warrentown. Do we want to put it there, covering a little space? Because it's a layer, I think that's okay. Alright, and I think I have something else coming in Warrentown too, so... no, I don't have anything else coming into Warrentown, so I can put it on the water, on the land side and not cover anything important. Okay, now comes a fun trick. Alright, and to demonstrate this trick, I'm going to turn off the background for a minute so you can see what I'm doing. Because given the position that this is in right now, I'm going to copy that. It's already selected, so I'm going to copy it with Control C. I'm going to come over to the Privateers layer, and I'm going to paste it with Control V. And what that does, if I turn off the Yasaki's Revenge layer now, you'll see I have both of these on the same layer. Alright, and to prove that, I'm going to turn that one off. And again, this was the original import, but now it also appears here, which means I can now select that temporary layer and delete it, and I still have what I want. Alright, so now I have two done. Now we move on to the third one. Scourge of the Waves. Scourge of the Waves comes in, I add a layer. On that layer, Scourge of the Waves is located in Mist Bay, which is down here. Scourge of the Waves right there. Again, for clarity, we're going to copy that, change layers and paste, make sure it's there. It is. And I'm going to delete the Scourge of the Waves layer. And that's 3. Next up is Legion of the Tides for Amicus Cove. That's not right. Wait a second, that's not right. Cancel. those two are backwards. Uh-huh. Okay, glad I caught that. Scourge of the Waves is Amethyst Cove. That's my seafarers. That's my seafarer dwarves. Okay, so that belongs there. And now we can get the Legion of the Tides in here on a new layer. We can drag it to Mist Bay. Those are there, and the last one, actually, before I forget, let me fix my text here. And the last one is the Fellowship operating out of Wolf's Bay. And that should be it for this particular layer. Okay, so we have our privateers, which we'll be able to eventually turn on and off at will. Alright, now we just have to do the same thing for the 4 mercenary groups, but they're going to get their own thingy. And the first mercenary group we're going to deal with, and again, the first thing I need to do is make the small versions of these things. File, save as. Axe. File, first of all. Let's not mess this up. Save as. That one. Next would come the Silent Shield. Finally, the Swarm. Close these all down. That brings us back to here. And we'll start with the Bloodsingers. Right? The Bloodsingers who operate out of Desolation Point, so they're the other group that has to go up here. So this time we're going to bring them in, add a layer. We're going to drag them over to, I haven't decided exactly where they're going to be, whether they're going to be up on the cliff or down in the hole. So I'm going to kind of put them over here. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put them over here. I might actually put them on this little spit of land that comes out underneath the name there. And then the next thing I'm going to do is change this to be mercenaries, because I can keep that one. Okay, that brings us to the dedicated axe operating out of Delve Shadow, which is over here. Dedicated axe. In, add a layer, drag it over to Delve Shadow, Control C, come to the mercenaries, Control V, and then I can delete that and it's still there, good. And then the Swarm, which also operates out of Warrentown. Warrentown's getting a little busy, but well, that's okay. We'll just put that one right down there. And last but not least, the Silent Shield, which operates out of Wolf's Bay, which is the capital. And that should be it. So now I just need to export those pieces as layers. Now, hey Daz, how's it going? So now to do that, what I'm going to do is, and I think I can do it this way. I'm gonna find out anyway. Alright, this is the same 200, it's the same size map file. It's exactly the same map as went into the World Anvil. But of course we're now just looking at full transparency. Full transparency, but just the privateer shields where they belong. So if I save that as PNG, and I just screwed myself because I forgot to save. This is what happens when we do this before coffee. I'm gonna have to recreate the mercenary layer. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Because I forgot to save the project file before I went. That's one of the downsides to Paint.net, is you really have to manually stay on top of your saves. But before I go back and do that, let's see if this is going to work the way it's intended. I did successfully get this exported. So now, if I come in back here to the map and go to layers, actually before I do that, I need to come into my images, and I need to bring that in here. Just in case I need that, I'll grab that. Because I'm going to create a new layer. No, it's going to let me browse. Oh, is it going to do this? Am I going to end up with 2 copies of this? So now we have privateers. Checking. See, that's what I wasn't sure about. It actually doesn't overlay. The layers aren't really layers. All right. You guys see what I mean? It didn't layer the transparency over the top of the other map. It replaced the other map. So that's good to know. I wasn't sure about that, but we can fix this. And the way we fix this is we now come back to here. Oh, and we grab the Wolf's Bay region project file that we had before. Alright, I'm going to close this thing for the moment. Yeah, I'll save it, that's okay. But then I'm going to bring in the PNG file and I'm going to bring it in as a layer. So it ended up right where I wanted it to go. That's a good thing. Now the first thing I'm going to do is save this so that I know it's there as 2 layers. Alright, and then I'm going to do a save as just for this. To get, see, this is what's annoying. Oh, those layers were either or, weren't they? Yeah, they were. Okay, now I'm going to save this as a PNG. And now that I have that imported, I don't need this anymore. I can use that name, because that's what I want. Now let's come back in here again, come back to layers, and edit that layer. I'm going to bring in the new file for it. Now let's see what happens. That's better. So if I go into presentation mode, and I'm looking at the whole map, and I want to see where the privateers are, there's the privateers. Alright, and you can see I've already set up, these are going to be marker groups that I'll be able to turn on. When the privateers comes up, the privateer companies will automatically come on. And there will be little hover circles over each one of these things. That's the plan anyway. All right, so we got that one done. And let's see. Yes, this is my only. Let me catch up with chat here a little bit. I look thirsty, sir. First coffee. And then a little whistle wetter. Yeah, Dazzly Cat came in. Yes, this is my alliance map. Delian, how's it going? Oh, I just got a caffeinate hit. Good. Yes, this is my alliance map, and it's basically putting these finishing touches on it are the last thing I need to do to get the alliance thing finished. And what I'm doing is these are the shield crests of the organizations that are in the alliance, and where they operate out of in the country of Tirnave, which kind of runs from about this jungle line up to about this mountain line, to just below, just a bit of this lake, and then kind of down the side here a little bit, although there's not much of anything on this edge. Okay, so that's done. Now I just have to come back here and put back the 4 mercenaries again. Although before I do that, I need to go back to the PDN file. Let me get rid of that. Now I'm in the PDN file, and now I just need to go back and do what I did 2 minutes ago. And bring in the 4 mercenary groups. So we have the Bloodsingers, who operate out of Desolation Point. That's right, they were the ones I was going to put here. To mercenaries. And then the dedicated axe, which operates out of Del Shadow, then Warrentown, then Wolf's Bay. Okay. Del Shadow. Swarm. And the Silent Shield. Now that we have everybody placed, the first thing we do is we save the project file this time so we don't lose our work again. And this time the layer I'm building is the layer for the mercenaries, so I just turn off the layer that shows the privateers, and I do a save as a PNG file. Cheat by copying that name to start, and then just put in the word mercenary, and we say OK, flatten. Alright, and that's done, and we should be done with paint now. Let's find out. So now we're going to come back in here. We're going to go to layers, and we're going to create another new layer. This time we're going to import the mercenary file. This time we're going to call it mercenaries. That's really all we need for now. And now if I come into presentation mode and look at the whole map, we can look at the privateers, or we can look at the mercenaries. Fortunately, you can't look at both at the same time, but that's okay, because this map would get a little busy if you could. Alright, so that's done. We're done with that part. Now comes the next fun part. We want to actually put markers on each one of these. And to do that, I can do that from the presentation view by right-clicking, and I want to get like pretty much the center of the shield. Alright, and it gives me a chance to create a marker name, and I can select a marker. Oh, it's just assume this assumes I'm going to put a pin in it. All right, so I'm going to have to do this temporarily, and then I'll come back and fix them. All right, and likewise, I can even put in the articles here. So I can get most of the work done here. All right, but I'm going to have to go back and tweak something, as we'll see. The swarm. Right now I'm just holding that asteroid black as a placeholder. There's my article. Create marker. Side one shield. Okay, so that should take care of those four. And now if I come across to privateers. Now I know those markers are still going to be up there, but I can turn them. I should. Well, that's because they're not categorized yet. So you know what? Let's jump back in and do a little more cleanup work on those markers. Refresh this page. Alright, and we can see the four are there, the bunch are there. The first thing we're going to do is put them in a group, because I've already set up a mercenary companies group. Alright, so we did that. The other thing we want to do is go into layers. Edit the mercenary layer, because this time I want to tell it that the mercenary company's marker group should be visible when that layer comes in. Okay, so now if I open the map up in presentation mode, when we start off, we see nothing. Where did the mercenary group go? Where did my mercenaries layer disappear to? Mercenaries. Public. Why did it lose the file? That's interesting. Let's try this again now. Oh, what is going on here? Anybody have any ideas? Why is my mercenary map disappeared? Mercenaries is here as a layer, but it keeps losing the data. There's my mercenary map. Title is Mercenaries. It's like when I put this in, it broke it. So let me take it out again for a second. Is this supposed to say edit layer, or is this supposed to say... Okay, hold on a second. Okay, let me come into layers. I'm going to delete this layer. In here again. Mercenaries. Mercenaries. Mercenary companies. And this time I'm hitting a button that says create layer. I have a feeling there's a bug in the editor here. I don't think you can edit them. Okay, so that should have done it. So now if I come into presentation mode, no, I still don't see it. Alright, it doesn't like something about the group. Funny thing is, it does let me bring that. Oh, aha! That's how it works. Okay, I forgot. Yes. This actually is even better than I thought, because clicking on mercenary companies brings up the layer, and the markers. Now the question is, what's going to happen when I click on privateer companies? Because each map kind of overlays itself. So let's find out. Alright, so in other words, when I put privateers up, it's going to make this go away too. And I'm just going to have these two buttons down below, but it'll be curious to see what happens then. And more importantly, I'm wondering if that means I really want to just go with the blank layers. Is it really overlaying, or is it replacing the whole map? Well, that's an easy enough thing to find out, and an easy enough thing to fix. So, okay, we've got those done. The other thing we do need to do, though, is we need to go into each of those markers and change them from, we'll start with the Blood Singers, for example. We need to change that from being a pin to being a circle. And how big of a circle do we want it to be? First one, getting the first one right is going to be tricky. Let's start with a 100 pixel radius. And for the moment, let's give it a black outline so that I can see it. And make it fully opaque. Change the map there. Which would have been nice. But if I refresh, what does it do? So that's all right. So now what happens when I click Mercenaries? Okay, good. You see the pin is gone. How big is 100 pixels? Alright, 100 pixels is huge. Let's go for 50. 50 looks like it'll just about do it. It's interesting, it got rid of the 0 at the 100. Oh, because I put a % on it. I shouldn't have put a % on it. Just so I can see what's going on, I'm going to leave that 100 in there. I'm going to turn off those opacities later. But that'll give me a better image of whether... Did I change the 50 to 100? I did. Let's get all of them done. Black, 100, save. So what else are other people doing here? Let's see. 100 means fully opaque. Yeah, that's what that is what I'm planning for now. Eventually, I'm going to turn it down to 0. Like I said, I want to put the 100 up just so I can see them for the moment, and then once I'm happy with the locations of them too, because I'm going to use them to help me zero in on the latitude and longitude. Get rid of that. 50. Let me show you what I mean by that. In just a second. Save changes. And the last one is the swarm. So now if I come in here, click mercenary companies. Oh, apparently I had some of them set to fill. And didn't I say black for all of them? Am I losing my mind? Alright, you can see that they're all a little high. The circle, my centers are a little high. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come back into here, and we're going to edit them one more time. And this time, oh, because I'm an idiot. That's why they're filled. Okay. Okay. Okay, save changes. Now let's go back and edit the location of that circle. Why isn't it showing me the shield? Because the shield's on a layer, that's why. Oh. Let's refresh this and just take a peek. You know what? That's close enough. Anybody else not think those are close enough? Yeah, I think they're close enough. So I just need to turn off the opacities on all of these, and then, like I said, once you're on this map, once you get near one of the shields, you'll be able to get a label pop up, and from there, if you click on it, you'll even get brought to the article, which is the intent. Okay, so now I'm going to take off all, I'm going to turn off, basically make them invisible circles, because I'm happy with those. So we edit one last time. We say it's a circle, and we make the opacities both 0. And we do this for all 4 of them. That should be it for the that brings up, yeah, I actually have to put something worth reading in each one of these things, but that brings up those four. All right, I do have the read full article. I need to put an excerpt or a snippet, and the excerpts in each of these. So that it will have something worth reading. Okay, we're done with the mercenaries. Now we go back to the now we have to come back here. This time we have to, this is our next part of the experiment. I need to open the PDN file again. This time we're going to turn off the mercenaries and just keep the privateers visible. File save as. I want to ping. This to be the privateer layer, right? Right. And we say okay. Then we come into layers. And we edit the privateers. We want the privateer layer. It's called privateers. It has the privateer company marker group. And again, I'm hoping that this is still, I'm hoping this is right. We'll find out. Okay, so we have that. Now if I come into presentation mode and check the privateer companies, it brings up that map. Okay. Can I check both? All right, see, this is where I think I need these to just be transparent overlays. So we're going to end up testing that too. Or does that just give me a black screen again? Let me, before I go any further, do a quick check on that. If I come back into here, that's the ping. That's a ping. I'm going to open the project. I want to just have the privateer saved as ping. We're going to say privateer only. And do it again. Mercenary only. Okay, then we're going to come in here. We're going to go back to layers. We're going to take the privateer layer and we're going to say I want privateer only, not privateer with the map. and everything else is the same. And now if I come into presentation mode and click private, good, okay. What's important though is that's going to let me do this, or it should let me have both. They're in different layers, that's what the problem there is. Okay, so I need to come back here, and the beauty is because everything is in the same place, I don't have to worry about re-editing. So if I come back into layers and now I come into mercenaries, and I select mercenaries only and leave everything else the same, now we should have what we want. We have a map. There's the privateers. There's the mercenaries, complete with their markers. And there's both together. That's what we want to see. Okay. We've got the map part done. The only thing we have left to do is put the circles on the privateers. So again, I come to the center of the shield, right click, paste, temporary marker in there. Actually, that's right. These guys don't have a "the" in their name because they're cool. Marker. We're nearing the end here, guys. Revenge. Marker. I hate when it does this. Fellowship. This would be the Legion of the Tides. This would be the Raging Storm. Okay, those are all in now, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Perfect. Come back to here. Clean up about 42 of these repeat tabs. Refresh this screen. First thing we'll do is put them into their group. They're a privateer, 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 and privateer. And then we have to edit them one at a time. We come in, we don't want to be an asteroid. We want to be a circle that is invisible. We want to link to an article, and that's there already. Good. I think I'm pretty sure I said all of those before. All right, so that's the first one. Now the fellowship. Legion of the Tides. Raging Storm. And last but not least, Yasaki Revenge. For those of you who don't know, Yasaki, by the way, is the name that the rat folk call themselves. So imagine a ship full of rats. And that takes care of that. So now, when I come over to here, we have the map. If I look at the privateer companies, they all hover correctly. They should all link to their articles. Scourge of the Waves, Saki Revenge, Legion of the Tides, the Fellowship, and that. And I can even bring up these guys, Bloodsingers, Silent Shield, Swarm, and the Dedicated Axe. And that is it. That is the corrected and completed map. Alright, like I said, the only thing I need to do is go into these articles and have a little bit of text show up when you click on one of these things. Other than that, if I refresh this article now, we'll see how this works. Alright, I can click on the privateer companies. And it brings up this little guy, which will then bring me to the map. I need to turn all of these things off. I need to do work in these articles, obviously. Maybe I'll switch it to do pop-ups too. I'll play with that. Yeah, maybe we'll play with one of those just to see the other, because the other possibility, your other choice. Let's take Scourge of the Waves as an example. You come down here. You either get this open a pop-up or open a new page. You know what I could do? This is Scourge of the Waves, right? This is, yes, it is. This is the text that's actually in the article. What would it look like if I put that here. And the problem is, I think I would also want to put it. Well, let's see. If I put that text there, how does this work now? All right. First of all, if I look at it in presentation mode, that was the Scourge. Yep, okay, so it brings up that whole text in the box. That could be a bit much. If I'm looking at the article, alright, that may not be a bad thing. It gives me the option of going to the article. I can probably take those links out, actually, from in the map. and just rely on this text. And rather than it be exactly the same text as appears down here in the article, I'll shorten it up a little bit. You know, make it a little more descriptive, but or you know, a little more compact, I should say. Rather than because like I said, right now that literally is copy and paste of that. But I could trim this down to be a little more reasonable and maybe take out the link so that you don't get taken to a page that looks like this. And I am in not any hurry to complete the individual pages for these things. So let's see about doing that real quick. Let's see if we can get one sample one done. We were playing with Scourge of the Waves. Alright, the marker is there. The first thing I'm going to do is come in here and take out the article link. And then only 6 fast pursuit ships. They're equipped with the superior catapults. Let's just reduce this to weapons. Yeah, I'm trying to make this as brief as possible. Seafarer dwarves. And let's just leave it at that. Let's leave it that small. Let's see how this works now. Again, when I come to the article, don't want to do that. I want to do that. And I click privateers. Click on this one. That's much better. This lets me edit it because it's mine. Nice and small, nice compact and to the point. That's good. Alright, so we'll do that with all of the other ones. And that will be the full wrap on this article. So, what have I missed in the chat? Because I've really been ignoring it. Let's see. Daz likes what he sees. We're looking at the markers. Yeah, well, you saw all of that. Altogether, as you can see, this really wasn't that terrible a process. The couple of things that you had to kind of trial and error through to make sure I got them right, like the transparent overlays, you know, to hide the to deal with the markers. Again, Daz, I think you weren't here at the beginning. The original hope was to actually make the shields the actual marker symbols, because it looks like the system was almost but not quite set up to let you do that. It didn't quite work the right way, which is why I ended up having to create the overlays in Paint. I should say Paint.net. Do not confuse Paint.net with the default Paint program that comes with Windows, by the way. They are completely different animals. But by creating the layered, the layers for the markers that I can pop up and down, combining that with the ability to set up the marker groups and essentially the invisible circle markers, which I just make sure they coincide with the shields, and the same purpose is achieved. And I have the advantage, in fact, sometimes those markers get a little kludgy when you start expanding and contracting the map because the markers don't change size. These do, and the circle markers do. You'll notice, even though it's this small, I still have to get right to the shield for my cursor to change to a link. All right, that's not the case with the pin markers. The pin markers maintain a constant size, and as you shrink the map down, they start to overwhelm the map. All right, so this way I don't have that problem. You know, I kind of wish you could click on this map and go out into presentation mode. I don't know if that's an option or not. I'm not worried about it for the article because this serves its purpose. Again, you can come in here, you can look at whatever you want, you can click on the things. You'll get a little pop-up that tells you what they are, and a little bit about them. There's a little bit more about them down here below anyway. Now, these words aren't going to count, by the way, because they're not in the article. Which is a good thing, because I think my article right now is at 2,300 or so words. And then down at the bottom we do have our relationship map, and again, yellows and reds are not good. Greens are good. You'll notice there's a lot of pale green. There's very few dark greens on this map. What I like is if you hover over any one of them, it'll highlight just that group's relationships. You'll notice all the rest fade. If it weren't for the fact that these were connected, that every one of them was connected to every other one, I will tell you that this fade, this highlighting feature, it also grayscales any of the things around the outer circle that are not in the connection. that are not connected to the one you're focusing on. So it actually is a really, really nice highlighting tool. If you had some sort of complex web, that, and especially if it wasn't quite this complex. Like if I had no relation between the swarm and the blood singers, for example, then not only would these lines that lead from the swarm to the blood singers go gray, but the blood singer shield itself would go gray. And to kind of take it out of the picture. Of course, you wouldn't be able to tell that with the silent shield because this is already grayscale. But that's all of that. And I think I got a couple more credits to add into this. No, they're done. They're done. And other than that, I am happy with this article. So there's a ton of article-specific CSS in here, which will eventually be moving out into my global CSS as a all as classed CSS. And this article just turned into a class-specific. But for now, it's all in article. It's a good place to test it. And the reason I'm going to make that change is because now that the challenge has made me think about this whole area so much, I've decided that after I complete a few more, I have a bunch more adventures in the Feywood, which is the region that I've been focusing on Cartyrion for adventure arcs so far. This might be the next region I jump to and actually put together a whole bunch of adventure arcs that have to do with parties either signing on to the privateers or signing up with the mercenaries. As you know, and getting assigned together as a special assault group. Those might make for an interesting change of pace for adventure sets. It depends on that's part of the trick. Is whatever I do, I have to do it. So for varying party sizes. Because my intention, my long-term intent, is to publish these things. It's not just for my game. When you're doing it, it's interesting because we talk a lot about adventure creating versus creative writing, and the big difference being that as a game as a game adventure creator, I get to set the scene just like a creative writer. I understand who the characters are just like a creative writer. I get to decide who the antagonists are just like a creative writer. But I do not get to decide how the action actually plays out. All right, how the action plays out is a function is up to the players. All right, and sometimes how the action plays out is going to be up to how many of those players there are. And if I'm writing for a generic, here's an adventure that I would like other people to pick up and play, I have to anticipate the fact that it might be a party of 4, it might be a party of 6, it might be a party of 3. How do you make adjustments? In order to, an experienced DM could pick up something and look at it and say, okay, this is for a party of 4, but I have 5. So instead of 3 goblins, or instead of, 3 lizard men attacking here, it needs to be 4, or some, experienced DMs can do that. But part of my target audience is inexperienced DMs. So I'm also trying to include at least sidebar tips of, how to scale an adventure up or down based on party size. how to scale loot up or down based on party size. Again, and sometimes scaling. In Pathfinder, you basically have two choices in scaling. You can throw more monsters at the party, or you can tweak their stats either up slightly or down slightly. And that generally is a good half measure. This adventure is a little too hard. What can I do? Where you can weaken one of the enemies. You don't have to take out the entire enemy, but you can weaken one of them. So that's my intent and my focus is to do some of that. Okay, so I'm looking at the clock. I still have 20 minutes to go. 20 minutes might be enough for me to actually finish up all of these other little blurbs. Now, is anybody out there trying to get some writing done, or anybody interested in sprints? In a writing sprint? Because I can do this in a writing sprint form, or I can just keep babbling while I go. I'll leave that up to you folks. DM stretches using a burning skeleton. Oh, what am I catching up for? Quick idea for an end of level boss fight for a level 1 party. Need undead that's likely to be found in the crypt catacombs. Large room with sarcophagus. Other monsters are in my homebrew. Yeah, ghouls are definitely good, and if a ghoul isn't strong enough, make it a ghast. They're related, but the ghast is smellier and more dangerous. They're at a slightly higher level. Skeletons are always safe. Zombies are always safe. Trying to think, what else did I use? Ghouls and ghasts are pretty good. How many? Not only party size, but party level. Did you say what? It was a level 1 party. Okay. DM, you're doing 5th edition, right? Fifth edition DM, or okay. At first level, it actually probably doesn't matter that much. It's probably not that much different. If Sir Lancelot is still around, he will attest to the fact that a party of 6 facing a couple of ghasts and a zombie or 2 was quite a challenge for a first level party, but that was Pathfinder. Because he experienced it. And it was a first level party. And yeah, there he is. Yep, it was a tough time. But they survived. I think, did anybody die and have to be revived? I know you had a couple that went down to the paralysis touch. I think it was just the paralysis. I don't think anybody actually died. And to be honest, they had a pretty good handle on the final boss, on the final fight, until the fighter just decided to go completely stupid tactics-wise. And on his turn, they had spotted the last ghoul. They had pretty much cleared the field. They were in a graveyard, and the ghouls were lurking in the woods on the edges of the graveyard, looking for opportunities to sneak attack. And they had spotted the last ghoul. They were down to just the one ghoul. He was across the graveyard from them, and one of the fighters decides on his turn, I'm going to move close enough so that he can reach me on his turn and still get an attack in, and then I'm going to stand there and wait for him. That wasn't what he said, but that was essentially what he did. And sure enough, he moved. He closed half the distance. the ghoul gets to go next. The ghoul finishes closing the distance, gets 2 attacks in on him, and one of those attacks managed to paralyze him. So, yeah, I use my actions to close but not attack. Exactly. Like I said, it was an interesting abandonment of tactics, but they survived it. Um, I think he likes to think he was using himself as bait. The ghoul paralyzed him and then like jumped on him to start feasting, and in the meantime, all the rest of them were able to come up and whack him to death. So, so it was fun. Yeah, yeah. Raelin, by the way, is the healer, the dwarven cleric healer, who also happens to be the only. Um, well, I shouldn't say only. No, he's not only technically. He's the only one. He's the only one who's seen who has seen real military real combat action in his personal life. And so such an abandonment of tactics was and what's worse, it was his own brother. So uh, so it made for a fun aftermath discussion. All right, so like I said, is there anybody out there that wants to actually sprint? Because if so, I will throw up the timer. If not, I will just keep talking while I do a couple more of these quick edits to see if I can get a few of these done. We only got 10 minutes to go now, so. Or we can get, it's a casual day. All right, so let's just keep talking. What else do we want to talk about? What are people working on or doing today? Sir Lamsalot, after I finish the stream in a few minutes, I need to talk to you because we need to schedule our next game session. But we won't do that on stream. Has anybody else, have the rest of you World Anvil folks finished or started your Alliance articles? There's still plenty of time. Delian hasn't started yet. Chandra Mikaro needs to finish the fiction. Yeah, like I said, I think I'm done except for these little tweaks on the map. Dazzly Cat's Alliance is finished. Good. Congratulations. Finished and submitted. I've already submitted this article, by the way. I just have the little tweaks to do on the map. I'm done with the text. I'm as done as I can be. I played a lot of games with the CSS and with the map and with the relationship web, and we'll see if that was enough bells and whistles to have people like the article once that part comes around. Putting stat blocks into spoilers in your plot article for your one-shot. Good. This will be the first challenge that you've missed since started in 2018. Oh, then you got to get done, Delian. You still got 10 days, I think, actually. So you still have time. Even if it's not prize championship work, just put something in so you get the thanks for playing badge. Think about something. Get off of Classic Kings for a while. He said after spending all day yesterday in Classic Kings, by the way. That's me, guilty. I'm still getting the hang of. I'm 75 hours into this game, and I'm still learning how to play it. Isaac, good evening. It's better to miss a challenge than that depends. I wouldn't completely half-ass the article, but yeah, I mean, you don't waste you don't want to waste people's time reading it. When I say it doesn't have to be your best work. I don't mean, throw garbage and sign up, but it can, you don't have to polish everything. Oh, what just happened? Dazzly Cat's playing with icons. That's what. You crushed my dinosaur. Mini roars. But yeah, Sir Lancelot, you're right. Yes, but now I can play it. That's true. I've also gotten started on my Minecraft base, by the way. If you leave your base and head south and to the left. Is that southeast, southwest, whatever? Go out your back door, the one that's lined with the one that's rimmed with the fire blocks. Go out there and turn slightly left and go for a little while, and you'll see a little stone and wood house on the top of a hill with you'll see a sugarcane field in the front of it, so it's pretty easy to catch. But I'm still getting started, but that's where I am. I'll have to extend the causeway. Yeah, I'll connect up to everybody else somewhere. The other thing I want to do, though, is just a little bit beyond where I am. There's actually an ocean, and I was gonna hop in a boat and see what's on the other side of that ocean, because I know there's a couple of biomes that people have been begging and looking for. Technically, I'm in mountains, although it doesn't really look like mountains. Yeah, gotta have a nether path. I mean, eventually, yeah, I'm not sure where to put the nether pathways yet, though. Meet me on the Discord after this. Okay, yeah, we can do that. All right, so what else, Isaac? What are you doing? You're getting ready. Your weekend is done. So what else do we want to talk about? You plan to connect Aqualanus to your main world with a Well of Worlds. Okay, good. Oh, you're currently playing Minecraft, Isaac. Excellent. Oh, all right. So that's it. Is anybody know, is World Anvil actually going to stream today? They've been kind of missing in action the last couple of days. I know they're kind of taking a little bit of time off for getting other stuff done that has to get done, but I don't know if there's anybody here in a position to know whether or not they'll actually be on today. You can't go a whole week without Janet. I mean, that's... I guess we'll find out in a couple hours. So, okay, we have a few minutes to go. Who are we hoping to be able to raid today? It's a little early to think about this, but we'll see. Oh, that answers that question. Hefe just went live. So Hefe went live as I was looking at the phone to see who was live. So, all right. So we got a couple minutes to kill. He'll have a startup screen up for a few minutes yet. What else do we want to look at or talk about? Oh, so anyway, here's something. Again, I mentioned my plans, for adventure publishing, where to include, like the sidebar tips for DMs, and possibly players too. I mean, not so much when adventures typically are purchased by DMs, um, but again, my hope is to. The trick is going to be to strike a balance. I don't want to fill up the body of the thing with so much quote unquote obvious stuff that an experienced DM would be bored. So I want to try to make as much use of sidebars and little content boxes as possible for tips. But I do want to try to focus on two kinds of newcomers. One, people that are new to possibly the Pathfinder system. So there may very well be a few, like that. I might have a whole class of little, alerts that are, warning this doesn't work the way it works in Dungeons and Dragons, although I can't say it that way. Make sure you know how this works in this system. Those little tags so that even an experienced 5th edition DM that was thinking of trying out Pathfinder could pick this up and run with it. And then the other sidebar tip set would be okay, you've never been a DM before, but you want to give it a shot. Then here's a couple of pointers and tips and tricks along the way, to help make things run a little smoother, be a little more interesting for your party and so forth. So that's that. Oh, I know what I was going to do. I wonder if I still have time to do it. I still have time to do this. I promised to do one thing before I finished today, and that was I was going to go into Incarnate and just prove to everybody that I'm not crazy. Alright, and that I can create these maps. So I'm going to create a new map. I'm not going to do anything with this. This is just for demo purposes. But I'm going to go through the exercise that I went through at the beginning of last week and failed miserably. Okay, I'm here. I'm now going to go to the stamp tool, and I'm going to go to the catalog, and I'm going to grab the map image that I had grabbed, which is this one, and I'm going to put it in place. This is all things that I had done. You may remember this. Bring this down so that it essentially covers the whole thing. You may, like I said, you may remember me doing this. The next thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to come into here and I'm going to edit this object. And first I'm going to unlock it. To flip it. I don't want to shadow it. I need to... Oh, tell me this is gonna act up again. Oh. Not a blend, not a shadow. Where's my opacity set? Right there. There it is. Okay, that's right. I'm going to move it to a different layer. get layer -1, and I'm going to set it to smaller opacity so that I can see through it. But there it is. All right. Then I'm going to just bring this over so I can see it. Now I'm going to come to my mask tool. I'm going to be adding land because I had a water background, you'll recall. I want that. Let's undo that. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's bring this up, and just as an example, bring this down to a small paintable size, and then all I have to do, and now I can see what I'm doing, is I come along, I follow the coast, boom, boom, boom. Again, I'm doing this quick and dirty, so you can see what's going on, and so forth. You guys will get the picture. Obviously, if I was doing this for a keeper, I would pay a lot more attention to it, be a lot more focused and careful. We can even get the little lake in here. And then after I do that, I'm going to come back into here. All right, once I'm happy that I've gotten all of the landmass traced out, I come back into here. I select Wolf's Bay, which is the map icon in the back, and I can delete it. And now I can come back in here. And increase the brush size. And I'm on the wrong side of the border there, so let's undo that. Let's try to get this right. And then I can fill all of this in. Again, I'm being careless here because I'm in a hurry. I'm being real careless. Delian is cringing right now. But you get the impression of how this works. All right, and now I can, for example, I can come in and clean up these little bits. And boom, we have a landmass. All right, so that's the method for doing the quick trace trick. As you can see, it does work. I am now going to Simply return to my maps. Yes, I do not want to save it. Right. So it is simple and easy, as you can see, once you remember how to do it. If you recall, again, anybody who was on my stream last week watched me flounder for half an hour, not being able to remember how to do that before I gave up. It did occur to me 5 minutes after the stream ended. So, okay, we're about to hit our raid. So those of you who have not subscribed, take a minute or less, go into my channel rewards right now. Choose the unlock an emote and grab the raid emote. You want to grab, everybody wants to grab the remote, the emote that looks like this. All right, Makaro's got it. Yes, and the raid shout is evolve, just like Makaro did right there. All right. Yeah, you can grab the roar too. That's I'm easy. If everybody's ready, we are going to raid Hefe Live. And again, those of you for whom it's still morning or early afternoon, have a good rest of the weekend. For those of you who are pretty much done with the weekend, have a good week ahead of you. And I will see everybody again on Tuesday. Tuesday morning, the same time as this stream. And until then, everybody have a good one. And let's do it. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See ya.